Hello again and welcome to another What's New at the Attorney General's Office. I'm Tim Bormann, Chief of Staff for the South Dakota Attorney General, and today we are at the George S. Mickelson Law Enforcement Center in Pierre. You always hear us talk about the office, so I figured today we'd show you the office. 153,000 square feet of office space, dormitory, and training facilities made use of by the Attorney General's Office and the Division of Criminal Investigation. We're starting our video tour today here in the atrium. The atrium serves as a dining area for the classes that are here training. On the walls behind me, you'll see the flags representing the 9 Indian reservations and tribes of South Dakota. And behind me, you'll also see an eagle sculpture that's hanging from the ceiling. That sculpture was made by artist Lee Looning, and it's been hanging there since this facility opened in 2005. This is the start of our tour, but we're going to be looking at a whole lot more before we're done. Our next stop is not as visually exciting, but it's the hallway that takes you to the dormitories. 65 rooms covering 3 floors, all part of the Law Enforcement Center. We can house 130 students here, 2 students per room. Each room comes with a couple of study desks, wardrobes, a refrigerator, television, internet connection, pretty much everything you need to make sure you can pass law enforcement training. Also immediately to my right, the kitchen. They serve 3 meals a day, 5 days a week to make sure everyone stays fed. And to my left, if we go outside, we have the patio. We have a nice flagpole out there, a flag every Monday morning. The basic class goes out and does a flag raising ceremony. Every Friday afternoon, they take the flag down in another ceremony. It's all part of what goes on during the training sessions here. That's right, we've got our own gymnasium. There is some basketball shot here, but there's also a lot of training that goes on. You'll see the basic students in here doing all sorts of exercises, including the dynamic exercise, which I hope to feature on a future episode of What's New at the Attorney General's Office. On top of that, this space is utilized for every graduation ceremony, for every class that comes through our training center. 911 certification, basic training, they graduate here. This room will be filled with family and friends and also co-workers as we run every new graduate through, welcoming them to the law enforcement family. Still on the main floor, a little bit off the atrium, but we're right by the front doors of the Attorney General's office. This is where we come to work Monday through Friday. All the attorneys in the criminal, the civil, and the appellate division are in there. The support staff, the people who take care of the records, the people who take care of the finances, and also the consumer protection division, all located in the offices behind me. Now, in case you're wondering, this was an interesting stat that I came across. The consumer protection division fields over 20,000 calls per year. That's with about 5 personnel complete, but they're always there working for you. On top of that, we're handling the drug cases, we're handling criminal prosecutions, and we handle every single appeal that the state is involved with. It all takes place in the offices behind me. We move to the second floor. We're in front of the DCI administrative offices. Now, a lot of things go on in there. We've got the director of the DCI, we have his assistants, we have agents, we have support personnel, we have administration coming out of the ears, because in those offices they maintain all of the criminal records, all of the fingerprint records, the sex offender registry, and more. Currently, we average about 15,000 to 18,000 sets of fingerprints every single year. That's just for background checks for employment purposes. We have over 2,000 individuals on the sex offender registry in South Dakota. Those records are maintained within these offices. This is where the heartbeat of the Division of Criminal Investigation is, and it spreads out all across the state, and it all starts right here on the second floor. A facility like this probably would not be complete without a fitness center. Now, I personally try to avoid this room because, look at it, it's enough to make you hurt. But it's all good for you, and everyone here has access to it. If you work here, if you're in training here, 24 hours a day you can come up, you can work out. They tell me it's good for you. It overlooks a gymnasium where we already took a stop. It has its own training room for trainers, obviously. I guess that means that if you hurt yourself, they can fix you up. I don't know. Again, like I said, I try to avoid this room. But we have it. You get a look at it because it's all part of this behind-the-scenes tour of the Law Enforcement Training Center. Our next stop is the amphitheater. Surrounded by 18 inches of concrete, that's the walls, the floor, and the ceiling, this room is tornado-proof. It's a classroom, and it's also the site for emergency management operations. 112 seats that are all ready should things go wrong. Each seat in the amphitheater has phone and computer hookups for any individual who's manning it. There's also audio video, which will tie into the 3 big white screens in the front of the room. During an emergency, this allows individuals to be able to talk back and forth because the entire room is DDN activated. Two-way audio-visual communication between the parties that are involved. The amphitheater has more than enough views from both the top and the bottom, and as I said, those 18-inch walls for tornado safety all the way around do meet FEMA standards for emergency protection. Also, right next to the amphitheater, we have state radio dispatch. All the control stations in there can be electronically raised and lowered, so dispatchers have their choice of sitting or standing. Each station has its own heating and cooling. It is manned 24/7, 365, providing radio communications for the central part of the state, highway patrol, and more. Welcome to one of our 7 classrooms here at the Law Enforcement Training Center. This is a convoluted and complicated classroom because computers don't like me, but we've made that clear. This allows for paperless test taking, immediate scoring, teletype training, and more. If you're here for 911 training, if you're here for basic training, if you're here for highway patrol training or DCI training, you will spend some time in here working on all sorts of different aspects to make you better at the job that you're ultimately going to be doing to help serve the state of South Dakota and keep South Dakota safe. Welcome to one of our last stops, what I like to call the hallway of mystery, because, well, I can't get in any of the doors. But on my right, we have the State Forensics Lab. This is kept secured 24/7 for reasons of being contaminant-free and also to keep the chain of evidence clear and clean throughout an entire criminal case. Behind these walls, we have an incredibly talented group of people who can test for serology, which is the study of fluids, blood, urine, etc. Also, they can do DNA testing, ballistics testing, trace evidence testing, fingerprints, and also digital evidence testing. There's also a garage back there where we can bring in vehicles, lift them up, take them apart, get a good look at what's going on inside, and look for evidence in that aspect also. On my left, behind these bare walls, are 2 shooting ranges, 10 lanes each, a whole lot of firepower, a whole lot of brass to get swept up, and it always smells a little bit like gunpowder. Now, trust me, I'm going to get you in there for one of these episodes of What's New coming up, and we're going to get a look at some lead flying downfield. That'll be pretty exciting stuff. But on the second floor, this is the wing where things get really interesting at the Law Enforcement Training Center. Well, that's going to pretty much do it for this video tour of the Law Enforcement Training Center. If you or your group would like a live tour of this same thing, just give us a call at the Attorney General's office and we'll be happy to help set one up for you, and you might even get me to give that tour to you. Now, that's going to take care of this episode of What's New at the Attorney General's office. Before you leave, I'd like to thank you for watching, but I'd also like to ask you to click on the subscribe button to our YouTube channel, SD Attorney General, and also make sure you follow us on social media. We're active on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You'll find all of those handles here. I'm Tim Bormann, Chief of Staff for the South Dakota Attorney General. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you back here real soon.